2025 was a breakout year for the Southeast Tech Hub with national recognition, large-scale events, and an even bigger stage for rural innovation. Gord Moore, Executive Director of South, is here to walk us through the highlights. Gord, let's talk about the big picture, kind of what's gone on this last year and why it has been so transformative for South's history.
Well, for sure. So this last year, if I was to sum it up with two words, I would say validation and growth. And I think the validation part, I think a lot of people in Estevan hearing me talk understands what I mean by that. When you go out into the urban world or the political centers of the world, you get dismissed. And so I had to spend a lot of time validating what we're doing in the sense that is genuine, in the sense that we're actually getting things done. And obviously in 2025, we showed that we got a lot of things done. And from that, we grew. You look at where we were a year ago, just over a year ago, we were thinking about closing the doors because of funding issues, because of the dismissiveness. And now we're looking at our plans for the next 2 or 3 years with less fear, shall we say, and more positivity.
Well, and it's got to be really reassuring when you got some recognition on the national stage and you've actually had a chance to be able to share what we do here with some other communities as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the innovation cycle, there's a thing where you deal with dismissiveness, and a way around that is you find your champions and you ignore everyone else, and you just keep working with your champions such that the FOMO, the fear of missing out, kicks in and helps you out. So we found some really good champions on the national level. So the IRPP, which is a think tank funded by all the provincial governments and the federal government, really took up our cause and really, presented us at different I didn't even know this, but different conferences around Canada and into the States. And I found out through a friend, like, why are you guys on the projector screen right now? So that was really neat. And again, that speaks to the validation and the growth, is that they helped us show that what we're doing is actually fundamental to change. From that, I talked to the Ministry in BC of Innovation, both the minister and a couple of their bureaucrats. I've talked to the University of Victoria. I've talked to the University of Dartmouth. I'm helping out with Prince George in Northern BC. I'm going out in January to help open up the Tech Hub out in Drayton Valley. I've been talking to Shaunavon in Saskatchewan, who wants some help to do the same thing. Lethbridge is now talking to me. And you're probably wondering, yeah, that's wonderful and great. What does that do for us? Is the reality that I have learned through doing innovation. The first disruptor, the first mover, sucks. Everyone thinks, oh, I'm going to do quite well. No, you spend half of your time out in the world saying that your idea is worth it. The other half, then you get your sale, shall we say. So I need as many other rural tech hubs in this world, in Canada, so that as a group, we can get policy change to be more supportive of people in rural communities innovating, creating new businesses.
I would say 2025 was was a huge success just with the CRIT and ICE conferences, an opportunity to show off the Energy City and to, I think, show people here in town all of the opportunities that are available.
Well, let me just tell you one awesome story. So with the CRIT conference, we had Dr. Wagner from University of George Washington come up and talk about our graphite project. But we also had the lead for the battery chain for the National Research Council of Canada, NRC. And those two had a fun academic debate that I think went over our heads. Great. Wonderful. What does that mean for us? So as some of you might be knowing who follow the news, is the federal government has come out with critical minerals are extremely important. Battery production is extremely important. They forgot graphite. Because of that relationship, because of that debate that we had at the conference, I just talked to the NRC person a couple of times this week, and he went, oh, you're right, we got to include graphite. And again, why is that important? Because our coal to graphite project. The reality is this project will be one of only 2 graphite sources in all of North America. That's why the federal government kind of forgot about it. But that is the kind of leverage we now have in Estevan, where we can change policy because of these conferences.
And then the last thing we should mention is just for the folks that miss these conferences, what would be your message to them?
Oh man, you guys, the core goal of what we are doing, if you look at our mission statement, if you look at our values that are online, it's all about the community. We are community first. Our goal is to generate wealth in Southeast Saskatchewan, defined by jobs, defined by new companies started. And so we're doing all of this. So we need you to help us achieve our goals, which will then help you. So, for example, break it down. At the conference, the last conference, we had the head of nuclear for all of GE Hitachi come to our conference and sit on the stage with me and the VP of procurement for SaskPower. And we broke it down to what is important, what opportunities are there for you. So regardless of your opinion for nuclear, and I think that's a fair, but there's a financial opportunity for you to create parts for a nuclear reactor. And you might go, Gord, are you crazy? That's insane. No, oil and gas already has the skill set to make the parts. All you have to do is do the certification. And you don't even have to do that. You can work with a company that already has the certification. So there's an opportunity. The other opportunity is workplace. So when I first moved here, I heard a leader in the community stand up and say to SaskPower, how do we ensure that the red plates don't build this? We're now giving you the opportunity so that the red plates don't build this, right? I want every single person in Estevan to be given the choice to help build this if this comes. So it's your choice. The only way we're going to do that is if we have the skill set in our community to make it and turn that around. Beyond nuclear, beyond that discussion, now we are given the opportunity to build these skill sets in our community that can be used for so many other things. And I want to be clear, because a lot of people sometimes think when I say post-secondary education or skill, I include trade, right? That is a post-secondary education. And when you look at the definition of that, it is. So I'm not saying degree, I'm not saying professional, I'm not saying trade, I'm not doing that tribal thing. We're all here together and there's a lot of opportunity for us. So that was another example. And if you didn't come to the conference, how are you going to know how you can make jobs, be employed, create parts for the nuclear, take advantage of all this new training coming in?
An insider scoop close to home. Gordon Moore joining us this morning. We'll continue the conversation and have it up later today at discoverestevan.com. We're back with Gord Moore, Executive Director of the Southeast Tech Hub, and we're diving into two of the biggest game changers for Southeast Saskatchewan, Estevan's Coal to Hydrogen project and the launch of the Rise Rural Tech Incubator. Gord, let's start with hydrogen. We kind of discussed this a little bit. What does moving into full engineering design actually mean for the community?
Sure. Let me just pull back a sec. So 2 years ago, Tanya Andrus from the college and I did a community presentation on things that we were working on. And in that, I talked about two things. One, data centers, and the other is hydrogen. Obviously, the data center didn't work out because we were too ahead of everybody else. Let's just leave it at that. And that's kind of fun. But the other one was hydrogen. And then there hasn't been much talk about it because behind the scenes that, when you think about TV or Hollywood, everyone thinks, oh, you created an idea and boom, the idea happens. The reality is behind the scenes, you got to do a lot of work to prove your idea out. So for the last 2 years, I've been spending a lot of time with my partners in this project, validating it again to the federal government, showing that, you can do things with coal that are in your value system still good, let's say it that way, and then also fundraising. Like you can validate with the federal government all you want, but if you don't got the money, you don't got the money. So the cool thing is we raised $2.1 million towards engineering and land acquisition for this project. And so we're using that money towards getting the final part of the engineering study done so that we can then finally build out on this project.
Let's talk about the University of Regina. They're doing a life cycle assessment, and basically you'll have to explain what's going on with this because it's over my head.
Yeah, it actually isn't. When you break it all down, it isn't over everyone's head. Look, so the reality is the lowest type of hydrogen that you can get, lowest cost hydrogen you can get is from methane. And the other types are significantly more expensive. We're equal, if not less than that. So now you have to go, I have to sell this hydrogen out into the world. And the world has certain rules and things that we must follow to make it valuable, regardless of our personal views. And so one is that the world wants this hydrogen to be clean. So I'll flip that around. If we have cheap hydrogen that is also clean, we've got gold, right? And in creating that gold, we're creating it from coal. We're keeping coal miners working. We're keeping the culture of our community the way it is. That's amazing. So to do that, we have to prove to the world that this hydrogen is clean. So what we've done is hired the University of Regina to do a life cycle assessment. So from digging the coal out of the ground, taking it to our gasifier that will turn the coal to hydrogen. And what we do with the CO2, we'll probably give it to Whitecap Resources, who will then make more oil and more money for the community. So that's amazing. And so they'll look at all of that. And there's certain rules that they have to follow that are certified, ISO certified, and what have you. And so that they can prove as a third party that this hydrogen is clean. So when we go to market, it's that gold.
So just a little more diversification of the great things we already have going on, which is so exciting. Let's talk Rise. It launched its first cohort. What kind of companies are we seeing, and what's the early traction?
Oh, wow. Okay, so let's pull it back. So just to, again, help people understand what the heck is Rise. So Rise is a tech incubator. What that means is, in English, is you got somebody in the basement coding away, or someone in the garage welding away, and they come up with some great idea, and they think it's worth a lot of money, and most likely it is, but they're like, how do I get it to me making a lot of money? And that's tech incubation. We'll teach you business. We'll teach you how to fundraise. We'll teach you marketing. We'll teach you all those things so that you can generate wealth for yourself, for your idea. So that's Rise. So where are we now? So we only launched, this is the amazing thing. We only launched June, right? So I had been helping a few companies off the side of my desk. So we had a bit of a lead, but we only launched June. If you take all the revenue generated by these 8 companies, in 6 months, these brand new companies have already generated $250,000, right? So that might not seem to some people in the world a lot of money, but when you're grinding out your idea from nothing to that in 6 months, that is amazing. And that speaks to the whole point of everything I say and do. We are a culture of innovators, but we call it Get It Done. And we're a culture of entrepreneurs. Of course, we're going to knock it out of the park in the first 6 months. And it's awesome because, again, when I go out into the world, I go, you know, urban tech incubator, how much money did you make in the first 6 months? Oh, they'll probably say like nothing. So it's pretty good. The one I love to talk about the most, which I think is fascinating, and anyone who saw the pitch competition that we had during the conference, was my daughter's beads. And it was so funny, people walking out of that going, wait, beads? Beads is tech? Beads just won? And yeah, it is. And I love that story because people think that tech is, you know, all this complicated stuff. No, tech is just in our lives every day. So what she's done is taken beading, Jill, from my daughter's beads, and she's turned it into an AI app. Oh, it sounds complicated. No, it's not. AI is not as complicated as everyone thinks it is. There's a part of it that is, but it isn't. And the AI app helps you do your beading, so when you're sewing and stuff. But then she turned it into a community of Indigenous, Métis, and non-Indigenous people from around the world. She's got people from Australia. She's got people from the United States. She's got people from Canada and elsewhere, all in this community sharing their ideas, their stories, because beading is about stories. And like, it's so impressive what someone in our community so creatively had done. And she did that with Southeast College with a new computer science through training program. So just think about that. 2 years ago, we didn't have computer science in all of southern Saskatchewan, right? And then Tanya and Ryan started up the computer science through training program. Had they not done that, Jill would not exist as a company.
And I think that is something that is just so exciting when you think about the last year in review. There is a lot that has gone on that I think a lot of people will either be unaware of or maybe have forgotten about because there has been so much. And so with the Southeast Tech Hub year-end report, where is that available? Like, can other people read through this and see what they think about it?
Yes, it will be on our website shortly. I just have to get board approval because we are a not-for-profit. So we have to go through those steps, but it will be on our website for you to read and really appreciate what we have done as a community as a whole. And when you see what we're going to do next year, which I have to get board approval for, but you're going to see some pretty amazing things. If you thought 2025 was pretty outstanding, wait till 2026. And I'm not saying that just to hype people up. I'm working on that plan, and we're going to do some pretty amazing things.
Executive Director of the Southeast Tech Hub, Gord Moore, joining us. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.